Hey everybody, it's JD. How are you? How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's having a good night, good weekend. Starts the weekend. Was on a big group tonight on YouTube. A couple of them, Comics with Bueller, did a great live chat tonight. Shout out to Comics with Bueller. And another one with his group, known as the Comic Cons, I think they called. But we had some guys at Baltimore Comic Con and guys. We were all talking about some signature series. And I'm going to focus this particular video I'm going to do is going to talk about Comic Cons or going to a con and why I go to cons. Now, they asked me this thing 10 years ago when I was going to cons to pick up books, hang out, have a great time, and everything else. Now I'm there to enjoy it with my family, get a few signatures, and have a good time. And the number one thing I talked about first was enjoying with my family. So I'm going to go through a little 2 years of cons, 2.5 years of cons. So this was the first con my wife and I went to. This was here in town, and that's my daughter there, Victoria, with a red wig on. We are the let's make the Avengers really quick. I'm wearing an Iron Man helmet, Captain America shield, and my daughter is Black Widow, and my wife is holding Mjolnir as Sensational She-Hulk. But notice she's not painted or anything. This was her first con ever, and she didn't know what to expect. She had so much fun. She said, "When are we doing it again?" I said, "Well, we're not going to do it for a little while," because she ended up getting pregnant, and going to cons when he's pregnant would be crazy, except we did it. Here we went the following year, the year The Force Awakens, the year after The Force Awakens came out, and that's my daughter Victoria again, with my wife pregnant as BB-8, me as Old Man Luke, and I'll show another picture there. And that's my daughter Victoria as Rey. I actually had a metal hand done. Here we are at a photo area. Hope this shows up pretty good. That's the family again. And while I talk about this, I'm going to tell you why family is important with cons. It makes it so much easier to collect comic books and so much easier to have fun with it. A year later, so after my son was born, and we took our 4-month-old son, not even 4-month-old son, to Planet Comic Con, and he was going to be in this picture. There is Michael Rooker, who plays Yondu. My daughter as Rocket Raccoon. There's a little Groot there in the background. My son was Groot for this one. Mia Star-Lord, Palm Clementif, the actress who plays Wasp, and my wife, who all of a sudden, I never did this before, and less than a year later, she's in full green makeup as Gamora, by choice. And if you don't believe me, we did it again later on, and here she is. I hope this shows up, because I don't have any hard copies of this. Look at her face. That's a woman who loves going to cons. And there's my son there as Thanos. I'm going to show the next picture, which is my daughter and my wife. Full green makeup with the silver scars and everything. My son. We couldn't paint in purple. It's kind of illegal to do a 6-month-old in purple. But he was pretty cool as a Thanos. Maybe he'll be purple soon. He was pretty good. And there we are as a family again. Here I am wearing the helmet again. In front of a Star Wars thing. So, cons. They're important. They're important to everything else. But a lot of things what we do is also get some signatures. I hope you enjoyed that look at my family. I'm going to show you quickly a bunch of signature books I got. And I'm just going to run through them. Just tell you who the guy who signed it is. Point to the signature. And move along. Arthur Adams, Thor, Journey into Mystery. Dan Jurgens, Thor. Arthur Adams, Mark Morales, and everybody else who was involved with the book Thor. It's going to be fast like that. Greg Horn, 2 Thors. Virgin cover, signed by Greg Horn. Frank Cho, Thor. Okay, there's no more Thor, I promise, all right? So let's do some more Frank Cho. Frank Cho is known for drawing women. Well, that's not it. That's Totally Awesome Hulk, signed by Frank Cho, right down here. So let's show some women. There's Frank Cho. Amazing Spider-Man $7.99, signed by Frank Cho. Ryan Utley, who ended up taking over for the Spider-Man, doing this stuff inside. Here he is on an Invincible. Got this, not sure when. I know I met him a couple of times. Probably at a con, and he was trying to sell this book to me. And he did. Here's some Avengers #1. Not the Avengers #1 from '63. The Avengers again, rebooted for the umpteenth time. #1, signed by Jonathan Hickman and Jerome Pina, as well as Justin Ponzer, the inker. You're going to see a lot of Justin Ponzer in here. He's my favorite inker ever. Here's Daryl Skelton on Warlock of the Infinity Watch #11, who drew the death of Thanos the first time. Dave Dorman, variant cover for Vader, Darth Vader Down #1. That's his sketch cover, and that was him signing it right there. Infinity. Not Infinity. All the Infinity, this volume here, which is a good story to read. Signed by everybody involved with the book. I'm going to point to a few signatures here, and here, and here, and here. In other words, it's Hickman, Jimmy Chung, Morales, Justin Ponzer again. There you go. Here's Jason Aaron and Scotty Young doing a Scotty Young variant of Thanos Rising 1. Jason Aaron and Chris Stevens doing Unworthy Thor. I'm going to take these here. This is not even all of them. I have signatures. I'm going to explain why. Every time I can get a book signed by somebody who wrote and drew it, I always want to get it done. No matter, it's just not, as long as they're not keys. Don't ruin a key. Mark Brooks on A Vader Down. Probably Jason Aaron too. Bob Hall, right here, West Coast Avengers. This is kind of morbid, but it's Death of Wolverine, which was done, this was signed on February 14th, 2015. Signed by Charles Soule, the now deceased Herb Trimpe, and Steve McNiven. This is a cherished moment of mine because I got a chance to meet Herb Trimpe and thank him for Wolverine. Even though I told him I wasn't a big Wolverine fan, he said nobody's perfect. I thought that was pretty cool. Put me in my place. So here's of course I'm going to go back to Thanos. Thanos versus Spider-Man, #17 signed. Here's something cool about this book. When Tony Stark in Avengers Infinity War says, Friday, release whatever Pod 17. It's a tribute to this book. It's confirmed by the Russo brothers. I'm going to have a sip of beer. Tony Moore, Walking Dead. Didn't get Kirkman to sign it. Why? I didn't want to wait in line. My fault. Jonathan Crane, New Avengers. This is this current Avengers series, signed by Jonathan Crane in New York. Also signed in New York was Charles Soule, same show, same occasion, Hunter Wolverine, and a Greg Pak, Weapon X. Sound cool? Let's show some other ones. All the Infinity, the same people you saw before on a variant cover. No big deal. Al Milgrom, one of my favorite artists, signed on a Thanos. Also Jim Starlin, the guy who met Thanos, Jim Starlin as well. Where's Jim's signature? Oh, right here. That's Jim's signature. I like the sketches I had better by him. Todd McFarlane. Yeah, Spawn. Todd McFarlane. Sketch. This isn't a comic book, though. This is actually a piece index card I had done by him one time, running into him. Here's something that's really cool. This is Justice League and Avengers #1. There was a 4-part series. Here's one that's signed by George Perez, Kurt Busiek, and Tom Smith. How many times are you going to have Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman with Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor? Right here. George Perez. Civil War 1, signed by everybody involved, whoever wrote Civil War 1, #1, signed by everybody there, including McNiven, Mark Millar, Dexter Vines, Maura Holloway. They're all here. And it says, to my best friend. It's actually, I wasn't his best friend. I don't know why I put that. Here's something that's cool. This is The Cult. This is a DC book, and you haven't seen that many DC books, if any. But here's something cool about this one. Jim Starlin wrote a book with the Batman, with Bernie Wrightson doing the ink. So if anybody doesn't know who Bernie Wrightson is, Bernie Wrightson did House of Secrets, Swamp Thing, number 992, as well as hundreds of other books. Bernie Wrightson is one of the best ever. He's actually, you'll see about him coming up in my October video, one of my October videos, my Halloween, my greatest horror covers ever. But this is signed by both Jim Starlin and Bernie Wrightson, and I don't want to open it again because I've kept this in pristine condition since I got it. This is my first time ever meeting Jim Starlin. It's not the first book I had. It's the only book I had signed by him at that point. That's when I asked Jim Starlin help me out with everything. It was really cool. these Mylar covers are. Here's some. Let's show some Stan Lee out there. Here is Stan Lee, Huberto Ramos, and Elgardo Delgado on Guardians of the Galaxy X-Men 141 Phantom variant cover homage. And my favorite signature comic of all I own is, of course, my Daredevil 16 signed by Stan Lee in person, which I couldn't get CGC verified even though I showed them a Polaroid of him when I was 13 signing this. So instead I had it authenticated by the PSA and everybody else just for insurance purposes. It's not a mint condition book or anything else. It's just a Stan Lee signed book, but it's Stan Lee signed to me. So that's what it is. So cons, real simple. I'm going to one next weekend. I'm going to probably live broadcast from there. I promise to get a new camera and everything eventually and make these videos much better. I want to shout out to everybody: Reggie, Tony Saunders, Chris Woodward, C. Woodward, the Legends, all these great guys. They have shown me how to do this, and I'm a little older to be getting into this YouTube stuff, but I'm a lot younger in the comic world because I've been doing this for a long time. I just want to thank you guys. This is my story about cons, and I'm just going to start off with this. This whole video is going to be titled the following: Signed, family, fun, signed. It's just good time. Thank you guys very much.